Welcome again to the Human Resource Management class, and in this particular class we'll focus on payroll processing. So what is payroll processing? Payroll processing is the process of paying employees at the end of the payroll period. It is the process of administering employee pay based on employee type, status, salary, wages, and deduction. So there are basic steps or processes that are used in payroll processing. The first one is to obtain a company's identification number. Ensure that any new employee comes in, they get a company's identification number, because that is the number that you can identify. It's a unique number that helps you to identify that particular employee. The second one is creating state or a local tax ID. That's the second process. Ensure that you create a local tax ID that is unique to this particular employee. The third one is collecting tax and financial information from this particular employee. And the things that you need to collect is the Form W4. That Form W4 is a form basically used in the United States if you have to withhold tax. It is very important for an employee to get to know the amount of tax that needs to be withheld for a particular employee, and the only tool that can help that is used by use of Form W4. Then we have to make the payroll schedule for this particular employee. It is important to make a very clear payroll schedule for this particular employee, and you have to choose the best payroll schedule for your company. As an HR person, it is important to ensure that you work within the company's rules and regulations, and choosing the best payroll schedule for that particular company is a good or a best practice in regard to payroll processing. Then we have to decide on the tax payment dates. It's very important because this part of the tax payment is part of meeting the legal obligations of a particular company, and it's very important to decide and to meet the particular dates as stipulated by the law. Then I want to take you through the steps that you are supposed to follow to process payroll manually. That is, if you are to do this manually. The first one is to check the hourly schedules of your employees. That is, if you are paying them per time rate. The second one is to calculate any overtime pay. It is very important to get to understand the overtimes from each particular employee and to calculate it correctly. Then the third one is to determine the gross pay of these particular employees. Then the fourth one is to calculate any deductions. It could be bank loans, it could be tax deductions, it could be money for employee welfare. You have to calculate and ensure that it is correct. The third one is to determine their net pay. Then after determining their net pay, that is what is supposed to go to the account of this particular employee. After determining that, it is very important to make payments to this particular employee using their preferred method of payment. There are several things that you have to keep in mind when you are processing the payroll. The first thing is ensure that you maintain payroll records. Very important, because if you don't maintain records, you will not keep track on the kind of payment that you are making to your employees. The second one is you have to keep an eye out of potential miscalculations and errors. It is possible to make errors when administering the payroll, so it is very important to always double check to ensure that there are no errors in this particular process. And then you have to notify the IRS for new hires. IRS is the organization that deals with tax in the United States, and it's very important that if you are dealing with employees in that particular area, you have to notify the IRS for any new employee that has come into your organization. Lastly, I want to take you through a 9-step method of processing the payroll. In a nutshell, the first one is you have to establish your employer identification number. That is the first thing. You cannot process any payroll without having a unique identifier, and this unique identifier is the employer identification number. Then the second one is to collect relevant tax information from the particular employee. It is very important to get the information and put this information safe, because it will help you in processing their payroll. The third one is to choose the payroll schedule. You have to operate within a particular schedule, so it's very important to have this schedule in place. The fourth one is to calculate gross pay, all payment, including their labor, their everything that they are supposed to earn, their wages, their salaries, their benefits, everything must be calculated in terms of gross pay. Then you have to determine employees' deductions. Those are the particular deductions that are supposed to be deducted from their gross pay. Then after that, the sixth step is to determine the net pay or the kind of pay that, the kind of money that is supposed to go to the employee's account. That is the net pay. That is gross minus all deductions. That is supposed to be the net pay. The seventh step is to keep the payroll record. Ensure that you keep the record very well, to ensure that you always have a point of reference, to ensure that it is, you are accountable and you can always identify the amount of money that you have paid to a particular employee. Then you have to be mindful of any errors. It is possible to make errors when you are doing these calculations, especially when you are trying to calculate the deductions from the gross pay in order to get the net pay. It is possible to do some errors. It is very good practice to ensure that you double check, to ensure that there are zero errors. Then you can employ technology to ensure that you simplify the payroll process. We are in the knowledge era, and we are in the information era. It is very important to ensure that you employ technology to make payroll processing faster and efficient. Thank you. I hope you have enjoyed my class.